Hi everyone, my name is Rachel and I work with Lainey on the textbook subteam, and the overarching purpose of our team is to translate and update the AguaClara textbook. So the goals going into this semester were to improve the accessibility of the textbook by translating it from English to Spanish using a software called Poedit that we're going to go into further detail later in the presentation, as well as adding interactive components using Colab, such as the ability to change the code without changing the content. Another goal was to update the content of the textbook to the most current AguaClara research, such as Kevin's research on flocculation. So here's just a timeline looking at what we've accomplished and what our future goals would be. In terms of what this looks like, we've successfully translated the entire textbook from English to Spanish using the Poedit software. And we presently are working on documenting and publishing the textbook online. Going forward, some of our goals would be to check the accuracy of the textbook as we publish it online. And once these tasks are completed, we'll be updating the content and integrating these Colab features that we spoke about.
So just to go over why the textbook subteam is important for AguaClara as a whole. So 463 million speak Spanish as their primary language. So translating it to Spanish would be very useful in improving the accessibility of AguaClara research and AguaClara content. And Spanish is the primary language of the country where all of the AguaClara plants are. And also the University of Zamorano, which is in Honduras and is a Spanish language university, is looking to start their own AguaClara branch, and it would facilitate their ability to teach AguaClara courses and have an AguaClara team if they have access to our research in Spanish.
So as mentioned earlier, we used a tool called Poedit to translate the textbook. So we would upload the English from our files, and the software was able to translate the text line by line. And it does this from two sources: a local translation that the software continuously builds on, as well as through online translations. And these translations come from DeepL, which is that translation service. On the left in the image in figure 1, you can see that the text is in English, and then the Spanish translation is directly on the right. In addition, on the right side in that gray box, the software provides translation suggestions. If it's not exactly sure what the correct one is, it provides the options for you to choose.
So following completing the translation in Poedit, we noticed that the software had a lot of common errors. So some things were random acronyms were changed. There were untranslated sections. There were formatting errors. So the entire textbook is in a format called RST, restructured text, which is similar to TeX. It allows for formatting, for equations, for images to be inserted. And so sometimes, as you can see on this figure 2, math is in colon, which is an indication that there's going to be an equation in the next part of the line, so it would accidentally translate it. And then in figure 3, you have doc test, which is a Python package, and a proper noun accidentally got translated. And then in the next line, it was ignored for whatever reason. So we had to go through, manually correct these. And then another thing is also marking translations as complete, so that it knew that we were done with them. So then next, we moved into the Sphinx Internationalization tool. So Sphinx is already used for the textbook in order to create the HTML file that is the online version of the textbook. And it has this very useful other package that goes along with it called Sphinx Internationalization. So what that does is that makes it really easily to switch back and forth between your two versions, generate your HTML or PDF file of the textbook. And so we had a lot of issues with Sphinx. It's very finicky, and there's some issues with the program. So it took us a little while, but we were able to get it finished, and we made it from where we were at the middle of the semester, which was at the MO portion where we generated MO files, translation files, and we were able to get our translated build that you can really easily switch between English and Spanish. So kind of what we are working on right now is we wrote a final memo detailing our methods. And so there's a chapter in the textbook currently which goes over how to use Sphinx, but not for the translation purpose, and also how to use RST. And so our goal is to add potentially a chapter onto that, which would have to do with Sphinx internationalization and Poedit. And so we're still working on some of the correction of errors within Poedit. And once that is done, we will push everything onto GitHub and hopefully be able to send out the translated textbook to someone to look over it for accuracy.
So the future of our textbook and future tasks that we would want to take on would be documenting the entire process of our work, as Lainey spoke about, so that future team members can follow along, as well as updating the textbook and adding those new chapters, in addition to integrating the interactive elements of Colab and getting feedback from Spanish speakers on the accuracy of the translation from Poedit. Thank you so much for listening along to our presentation, and we in the future would be open to any recommendations or questions that you might have.
Right. I don't know how to stop recording.